What's up, YX? How you guys doing this morning? Okay, the first thing that we have to get out of the way is I like interaction. So sitting there looking at me quietly is not going to work. So we're going to try that one more time. How you guys doing this morning? Okay, you guys realize I can see you and some of you still did nothing. So we're going to try it one more time. How you guys doing this morning? Fantastic. I just want to say how thankful I am for the opportunity to come speak to you. And right about now, some of you guys are like, man, this is like the substitute teacher that's coming in and you're making the decision. Will I listen or will I check out? I'm hoping that you don't check out this morning. I'm hoping that you lean in, and I say that simply because of this. I believe everybody has something to teach you. Whether right or wrong, good or bad, you can learn a life lesson from anybody sometime. It's like, man, I don't want to end up like that guy, so I'm going to do the exact opposite. And even if that's what you look at me this morning, you're like, man, I don't want to end up like him. I'm going to do the exact opposite. I think you can learn something. But the fastest way, I think, to get over this, I don't know him, he doesn't know me, is just let me introduce myself real quickly. My name is Dante. I was born and raised in the Bay Area, then moved to New Jersey. My freshman year of high school, where I went to school, then decided to go to college out there at a small school named Rider University, where I got my degrees in business management, minor in political science. I decided I wanted a master's degree, so I got one of those in marketing. And because I like education and student loans, I got one more MDiv from the University of Regent University in Virginia. Any Virginians in the house? I just knew there was one. And that's Sarah Lynn. She's a friend of mine. Also a great singer. Do you want to sing this morning, Sarah? No? Okay, just checking. So super excited to be here. For the majority of my career, I worked in sports on the college level, Division I, most recently at the University of San Diego as an assistant athletic director in charge of marketing and promotions. Then I got the call to step into ministry, and I am the communications director here at Real Life Church. And if you remember nothing else about me, everybody always remembers this. I have a dog. His name is Bentley, and this is what he looks like. I knew it was going to get somebody. The older you get, they say, you begin to look like your dog. There's some truth to it, isn't it? Yeah. That's Bentley. He's been with me since he was 8 weeks old, started in New Jersey. Is my right-hand dude. Some people say he's like a therapy dog because he knows when I'm not feeling good, and he will lay on my chest, all 70 pounds of him. But he's a good dog. But here's what I know about you. You are at a season and a position in your life where you begin to discover who it is you are. I believe that God created us all to be unique individuals. We are uniquely wired to do the things that we do. And at the point in your life, you are beginning to discover your talents, what it is that you are good at, your likes, your dislikes, your personality. And it is beginning to come full circle. And you're beginning to wonder, what is it that I do with all of this stuff? How do I put it all together? Which direction should I go, right or left? And in a society that loves to tell us where to go, how to box yourselves, my challenge for you today is to sort of think outside the box. For me, growing up, I wanted to try a little bit of everything, and one of the things that I know is as you try things, you soon discover whether it's going to stick or not. So for me, I loved basketball, but I didn't like 6 a.m. practices, so I knew that wasn't going to stick. I thought maybe I'd be a veterinarian until I got to a science class, and they said, today we're going to dissect animals, and I began to get queasy, and the smell and the blood and the guts, I was like, I don't think that's it for me. Maybe I said, theater, any theater people in the house? I love to sing. Yes, there's one too. I love to sing. But I soon found out I'm a below than average singer, so that was not the career path for me. I tried mixed martial arts. I tried a little bit of everything in this quest to discover what am I good at? What is it that the dreams and the goals that I have? I know about you. You're at that position in your life where you will begin to discover who it is that God created you to be. Before we go, I just want us all to agree on this one principle, and that simply is this. You are a unique individual. Can we agree on that? Yes. Okay, once again, I enjoy participation. So when I ask a question, we're all going to respond. All right, you guys got it? Yes. That's a little bit better. Okay, can we all agree the fact that we are unique individuals, yes or no? Yes. Fantastic. And there's a guy in the Bible, his name is Daniel, and I think he gives us some life lessons that we can apply to our life wherever we're at, that if I'm honest with you, I wish I had applied when I was your age. I wish that I knew these things because my life would have been a little bit better. If you've not been tracking with us lately, we are in the book of Daniel, and we're talking about this guy. His name is Daniel, and over the course of his life, he has found himself in some unusual and peculiar situations. And today we're going to read about one. I don't have time to go through chapters 1 through 5, but we find ourselves today in chapter 6, where I think we can find our first life lesson. In Daniel 6:3, it says this: "Then the other administrators and high officers began searching for some fault in the way Daniel was handling government affairs, but they couldn't find anything to criticize or condemn. He was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. So they concluded our only chance of finding grounds for accusing Daniel will be in connection with the rules of his religion." You see, Daniel had elevated himself to such a point in his life that the people around him were jealous. And they were even more jealous because Daniel did not really belong in that tribe. He was taken from his homeland and inserted in a different homeland. So the fact that Daniel found all this favor rubbed people the wrong way. Here's my first life lesson for you. You guys ready for this one? Yes. By the end of this, we're going to be real good. Here's the first life lesson. Not everyone is going to like you, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to like you, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to like your abilities, your gifts, your talents, your personality, the way you talk, the way you walk. Not everybody is going to like you, and that's okay. In a society where they want to tell you what to be and how to be, I challenge you, dare to be different. As a matter of fact, would you do me a favor? Just turn to somebody on your left or your right and say, "Man, you are so weird." And follow up with say it and say, "And that's okay." And that's okay. Some of you enjoyed that way too much as you looked them in the eye. You've been saying, "I want to call you weird" for so long. It's okay to be different. It's okay to find yourself not like everyone else. It's okay to be different. Daniel was so comfortable in that no matter what anybody did, he remained steadfast on who he was. Now, here's the thing, that administrators didn't like him, and so they said, "Man, if all we can do is find something negative with his God and his religion, let us do this. Let us go to the king and say, 'Hey, king, for the next 30 days, nobody should pray or worship any other gods. They should just worship you.'" The king, not thinking much of it, thought to himself, "Well, that sounds pretty cool. Who wouldn't like worship and adoration? I decree that." And when the king decrees something, he's unable to go back on it due to the customs and the law of that time. So the law was this: if anybody is caught praying or worshiping to another god, they would be thrown into the lion's den over the course of these next 30 days. Now, just to paint the picture, the lion's den wasn't a petting zoo or some nice thing you go to check out the lions. It was kind of certain death, meaning that you would go there and you weren't expected to make it minutes, let alone overnight. Now, I don't know about you, but when I hear things like that, I wonder what would have been my response if somebody said, "You can't pray," or "You can't do this," or "You will surely die." By show of hands, how many people would have continued to pray? Yeah, there's a few of you. I wasn't one of those at your age. And I certainly wouldn't have done what Daniel did. Let's read this in Daniel 6:10. "But when Daniel learned of the law had been signed, he went home and knelt down as usual in his upstairs room with his windows open towards Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he had always done, giving thanks to God." Here's my next life lesson that I wish I would have known when I was your age. Regardless of what we do, we always put God first, even if it's an inconvenience. Daniel decides that he's going to pray anyway. Now, I may have worked up the nerve to pray, but I certainly wasn't going back to the same spot that I always prayed, and at the very least, I was closing the windows. Right? I would have hid the fact that I was praying out of fear of getting in trouble, out of fear of the consequences, but not Daniel. We've got something around here that we say that I love, and I hope you remember this. Prayer is not the only thing that we do, but it is the first thing that we do. And so I challenge you in those areas of life where you are getting the temptation or the fear not to put God, would you put God first in that area, even if it's an inconvenience? See, Daniel understood that the core of his identity was God, and it was God who he owed his life to. When the obstacles are stacked against you, when the law says you can't, would you still put God first? You see, Daniel did, and he was caught. And they said, "King, remember that law that you said for the next 30 days nobody could?" Daniel's doing it. And the king liked Daniel, but he had no choice but to follow through on this. And right about now, I started to get upset in the story. If I'm honest with you, I began to get a little upset with God. I said, God, Daniel accepted his identity and he put you first. Yet he still finds himself being marched down to the lion's den. This doesn't seem fair to me. Daniel, he knew who he was. He put you first, and yet he still finds himself being marched down to the lion's den. Why is that? Why didn't you just stop this from happening? I believe Daniel knew something that I didn't know. And here's my next life lesson for you. In this life, you will have trouble. It's one that we don't like to talk about, and you're looking at me right now and you're saying, Dante, you are just a bearer of good news today. Not only are you saying that people won't like me, and that's okay, maybe I can get behind that one, but you're also telling me in life we will have trouble? Can we get somebody else to teach today? This is not good news. This is not happy. But I think Daniel knew something that I wish I knew when I was your age, and that is this. When you pursue Jesus, when you decide to walk with Jesus, he decides to walk with you. And in the midst of this law, he knew that no matter what I do, Jesus is going to walk with me. God's going to walk with me. And had you read chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I wonder if Daniel began to reflect on the previous chapters of his life and say there was a time where there was 3 Hebrew boys that were up against similar odds, yet they decided that they were going to trust God anyway. I wonder what Daniel thought about when he was marching down there. If it was me and I found out that somebody set me up, I was trying to get them in trouble with, I'm not going to be the only one that gets fed to these lions. They did. You don't understand, King, I'm not the only one, but there's some other people that broke rules else. They should also be thrown in the lion's den. I don't want to go by myself. But there's something that the king says that kind of hit me hard. He looks at Daniel and he says, may your God whom you serve be with you. And I wonder if that's all that Daniel needed to hear. Realizing that he was on his way to certain death by the standards of the day, the king says, I hope you know your God is with you. So Daniel gets thrown into the lion's den, and as the story goes, the king can't get any sleep. As a matter of fact, he's up tossing and turning all night, and in the morning, he runs down to the edge of the lion's den, and he says, Daniel, Daniel, has the God whom you serve continually rescued you? And I don't know about you, but if I was Daniel, I wouldn't have answered right away. I would have let him out there sweating a little bit. But sooner or later, Daniel responds, my king, the God whom I serve sent an angel to wrap tape around the lion's mouth, and they have not harmed me. And so at this point, I begin to wonder, what's the point? What is the point of this story? What is the point of all of this? Nothing happened to him. He came out all right. Was there any justifiable thing that we can point to say that, okay, maybe there was a point? And my favorite part in the whole entire chapter is this. The king says, I decree that everybody throughout my kingdom should tremble with fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he will endure forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed, and his rule will never end. He rescues and saves his people. He performs miraculous signs and wonders in the heavens and on earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. In other words, I want everyone to know what happened here, and that it was because of the God Daniel served. If I'm honest, for me, like I said earlier, when I was your age, or a little bit younger, actually, people said, Dante, man, I see something in you. I think you're going to preach one day. And at the age of like 6, 7, I think I thought it was cool. But the older I got, the less cool I thought it would be. Nobody else around me was talking about God or Jesus, and I didn't realize why my life had to be that. I just wanted to be regular. I wanted a life where people wouldn't condemn me for what I did or talked. And in the area of Christianity where it doesn't always have the best light because of those who are loudest in the room, where it doesn't always align with my heart or my passion, I wondered, God, is there something else? And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to try to find it. I think I'm going to try to go out there on my own and figure out this life. And for a while I did, and I was doing pretty good. Some may even say I was successful. And here's the thing I want you to know, Christian or not, you can have a successful life. Christian or not, you can do pretty good on your own. But you see, there was something in me that knew that there was more, and I was ultimately left unfulfilled. Not because I wasn't doing good, but because I had moved outside of what God had for me. Daniel's story is one where he begins to lean into who he is and his identity. And he begins to put God first, and a whole nation was saved. Your influence may not be on a stage standing with a mic talking to others, but it simply may be with friends who don't know God. And when they look at you and they see your life and they see how you went through what you went through and you don't look like what you've been through, when they see that you were able to take the test and not get nervous, that you were able to endure the pain of the situations that you had to go through, when they look at you, I wonder what they will see. And when they ask you how you did it, my prayer is that you will simply say, let me tell you about my God. Let me tell you about the God who rescues. Let me tell you about the God who's been there for me time and time again. Let me tell you about the God who is good. Daniel's story is not different from a lot of ours. Sooner or later in this life, you will face a lion's den. Sooner or later, you will face something that comes to challenge you. But our life lessons are this. People won't like you, and that's okay. Continue to put God first. For Daniel, that was through prayer. Find your avenue. Whatever it is, maybe it will be in the situation where you're thinking, I've got to take a test. I'm going to just pray for this test. I'm getting ready to choose my classes. I'm getting ready to decide at college. Where will you put God? For when God is at the center of it, it seems to work out better. Or at least that's my story. If God is in the middle of it, it seems to work out better. Life lesson number 3 is you will have trouble. Whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, it's coming. But life lesson 4 is this. When you go through all you go through, when you endure the pain, the tears, the hurt, the drama, the backstabbing, and they ask you how you did it, you'll be able to say, let me tell you about my God. Let me pray for you. God, we're so grateful for this opportunity that we get to come every weekend and praise you. In the midst of the decisions that we get to make, in the midst of our lives' choices, I pray for this group of young people, that they would begin to see you, that they would know where to put you in their lives, that they would understand that not everybody is going to be for them, and that's okay. That they would understand that life comes with troubles, but you will be with us. In your word, you say trouble will come. We pray that you would give us the tools and the resources to endure them. God, I pray that you be with all of them. That when life gives them their best, you remind them that you're walking with them. Today, God, let us feel you close. Let us not find our identity in anything else but you. We pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.